Alrighty. Welcome to today's Wednesday webinar, our second to last one for the year. Wow, it's gone fast. Before we get started, let's find out where you're all from. If you could type into the text chat box what school you are at, I would appreciate it. All right, we have Samantha from Chaparral, Mitchell from Virgin Valley High School, Diana at Shore, Heather at Clyde Cox, Jared at Foothill High School, Diana and Carla at Ira J. Earl, Frank at Las Vegas High School, C. Markovich at Wallen, Karina at El Dorado, Ange at Moapa Valley High School, Stacy Lynn at Richard Bryan Elementary School, and Lacey at Farron Elementary School. Welcome. Well, we're glad that we have you here right now. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please type them into that chat box, and we will either answer them during the presentation or at the very end. All right? Today's webinar is on screencasting and how we can use screencasting to engage student learning. I am Mark Oakton, one of the coordinators with the K-12 Talent, Technology, and Literacy Department. I always have to pause before I say that. I'm so used to saying instructional technology. We also have Bruce Clemmer with us, one of our directors, and three of our digital learning coaches, Kathy Lefevre, Heather Gonzalez, and Nicole Weems, and they are the experts, and we're going to turn most of the time over to them to explain all the ins and outs of screencasting and how we can use it in the classroom. Here's our agenda. We'll have a little introduction and overview and talk about why we want to use screencasting and some of its uses. Then we'll spend most of the time talking about different ways that we can screencast through computers, document cameras, iPads or tablets, your interactive whiteboard are just some of the ways. As well, how to save and upload your videos, because that's where they're useful. Some tips and troubleshooting, and a few minutes at the very end to answer any questions that you have. So the question begs itself, why do we want to screencast? There is a research component that shows that screencasting can impact student achievement. I think that's because of the aspect of individualized study. As we flip our classrooms and blend our classrooms, students are able to watch some content material as many times as they need to in order to master it. Sometimes that first time explanation doesn't quite sink in. They need to play it back, slow it down sometimes, and that way they have the opportunity to digest it and absorb the material. That's really, really important for them. I know I don't always catch everything the first time through. Some other students move at a faster pace where they've got the material and they can move on quickly, skip over some of the material possibly, skim through it visually and auditorily, and that way they don't have to take the time watching what they've already learned. And the teacher is able to reach emerging learners through individualized or small group instruction in the classroom by having some of the content recorded through screencasting. So teachers' use. Create training videos for staff or students. I've done that definitely. I created some training videos for thinking maps several years ago to use with teachers. We use it with students as well. With our content videos, we've talked about, I mentioned briefly the blended learning, the flipped classrooms. Good use is if a teacher's having a substitute teacher but doesn't want to get behind with their pacing, they can do a screencast of their lesson, and then all the substitute has to do is play it. Again, the tutorials, demonstrations. It can be used for digital storytelling and narrated presentations as well. Those are really important. We'll talk about all of those as we go through the presentation here. It's even more powerful, however, when the teacher's not doing it. Instead, the student is doing it. The students can create their presentations. It's a very, very easy way for a student to show that they understand the material, to demonstrate mastery. It would be wonderful if in all of our classrooms we could sit down and watch each student do, say, a math problem or do something with writing or grammar. I know in my classroom of up to 49 students. Yes, high school, up to 49 students in my English classroom. I didn't always have the time to sit down with each and every individual student. So this way they can do it, and they can record themselves doing it, narrating what they're doing, and submit that. They have to show their work, obviously. They can illustrate concepts, solve problems, and of course, if we're especially at the elementary school, the lower grades, they could tell a story, and we see that can see the fluency of as they're reading, and get an idea of the how much they're comprehending what they're reading. And so here's just some ways that we're going to talk about of how to screencast: the web-based and the software through the computer, our document cameras, our iPad and tablet devices, and the interactive whiteboard tools that we have. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our digital coaches. Talk about web-based methods first.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole. I'm a digital coach, and I'm taking the computer-based methods of screencasting. There's a couple of good programs out there that are free. I prefer Screencast-O-Matic. You have 15 minutes of free video recording time, as well as it's very simple to install, and it automatically exports as an MP4 format, which is very easy to view on either your phones or your tablets, or on computers. There's also, however, Jing and partnered with Screencast.com, which has 2 megabytes of video hosting free on Screencast.com through Jing, and it's simple to install and use as well. What we're going to do now, however, is to demo how to install Screencast-O-Matic and how to use it. So I'm going to take you out to Screencast-O-Matic and show you that we can click here, and you're going to download this. And run the installer. All right. And just as simple as that, it's installed, and I don't enable the free pro version, I just use the free. And then you get this fantastic little box here that you can move around to just the area of the screen that you want to use. So for example, I was logging into my Edmodo page over here. So if I wanted to demo to teachers or to students how to set up an Edmodo account, I could put my screen just around that and tell it to record just this area here and show students where they would go to enter their group code and information to join Edmodo for free, and have that walkthrough available for them. And my favorite part about it is that when I click Done, it automatically allows me to preview it and publish it. And save the video file to an MP4 format or another file format if you prefer, but MP4 format works well with all other platforms. And save the video and you're good to go. And at this point, on the screen in front of you, you should see a demo screencast on a computer. And this is a teacher from Mojave High School who set up a lesson using Screencast.com. So if we want to take a minute to go out and
Welcome to
watch
Learning
that
Goal
video.
2.2. We're going to
I just sent it out to your desktops. If you want to go and watch the video, give us a green check when you're all the way done. PM Jarrett, why don't you type your question into the text chat box and I'll answer it for you. Take that back. We're not going to watch the full 15-minute video. Why don't you just watch it about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then give us a green check mark when you're done.
Okay. So did everybody get a chance to watch about a minute or so of that? Green check mark up at the top and let me know if you did. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right, and that was Miss Matthews, and she just was literally sitting at her computer with her headset and recorded that lesson so that she could leave it for, I believe, for a substitute teacher to play in her absence so that she didn't have to worry about the students missing the content that she had wanted them to get from her lesson when she couldn't be there. So, do we have any questions about that part of it? Go ahead and put them down in the text chat, and one of us will get back to you on that. And at this point, I'm going to turn the section on screencasting using our document cameras over to one of my partners.
Hi, everyone. This is Kathy Lefevre, and I'm a digital learning coach. And I'm going to talk about document cameras. Within our schools, a lot of teachers have three basic type of document cameras, but there are others out there. And so I'm going to talk about the three basic ones. You can still use and record from if you have a Pivo or any other type than the three that I have here. My mic's really loud. I like to talk loud. Sorry, Heather. Okay. So the Samsung document camera, here's what we need to do with when we screencast. You have to be connected through USB cable to your computer. And a lot of our document cameras, our Elmos and our Red Lumens and our Samsung document cameras, they're connected. You might find that they're not connected through the USB cable. So if you need a USB cable, then you need to talk to your technician at school and see if you can find a USB cable to connect it to the computer. The Samsung document camera, what's really cool about it, it does have a built-in microphone, and you can use the software from that Samsung document camera. If you have the one that's in the picture, you can record with it, but we found some issues. In other words, you have to install the software for that document camera. And again, you can talk to your site-based technician or if you have an ECS on your campus to help you install that software. But we found that when we used the actual software to record, that it lagged behind. So the voice and the video they were not in sync with each other. So what we did is we found out that if we use Screencast-O-Matic, the program that Nicole just demonstrated, that everything worked perfect and that the voice and the as the teacher wrote, were perfectly in sync with each other. And we like the idea that it already saved it as an MP4, and that easily is uploaded to Edmodo, tv.ccsd.net, or any other places, and different types of platforms can, almost everything can read an MP4. So we didn't have to convert that. if you use the regular Samsung software, then we found that you do have to convert it. So then you have to use a different piece of software to make it into an MP4. So Screencast-O-Matic is my favorite, and basically you use it with every document camera. So there's two things you have to do with every document camera. You have to be connected to the USB, and you have to install the software for that camera. And then I recommend using Screencast-O-Matic to actually do the recording. So those are the three things that you can do that will work with any document camera. A lot of you have the white Elmo. Again, same thing I just said before. You can connect. You have to connect via the USB. Have your site-based technician or ECS install the Elmo software for your Elmo camera, and then use screen capture software, Screencast-O-Matic, or any other screencast software that you like. And for the Elmo, just like for the other one, you're going to need a microphone. So we tend to, just use a regular microphone, like you're using, some of you have today, and hook it up to your computer, and all of a sudden, anything you do underneath your document camera, you can record it. Give me a green check mark of how many of you have a white Elmo. If you have a white Elmo, give me a green check mark. Okay, let's clear those. And how many of you have the black Samsung? Give me a green check mark. The green check mark's above your name. Just one of you, okay. And
if you don't have access to a document camera at all, give us a red X, just out of curiosity. Red X if there's no access to a document camera. Only one, good.
Yeah, that is good. Okay, and then the red lumens. Give me a green check mark if this is the one that you have. If you have a red lumens at your school. Wow, these must be coming outdated, Mark. But the red lumens works the same way. USB cable, etc. If you have a different type of document camera, you can type it down in the text chat so that we can, the AVR will work the same way. I forgot about that one. So yes, same thing, USB cable with the AVR Media, and install the software for the AVR Media, and download the have a microphone and the Screencast-O-Matic, and you can screencast with your document camera. I'm going to again, here's just a slight example. I'm going to actually show you an example of one of my teachers at Mojave High School who, this is how she does. She teaches underneath her document camera with algebra, so we're going to have a demo software that you can actually watch her doing the, not software, but her with her screencast. But again, there's everything there. So if you want to jot that down, we'll leave that up there. Save to your desktop, everything I've talked about before, and then upload to internet. We're going to be talking about how to upload to the internet and some tips later on. And thank you, Mark. This would be the one that says, hold on a second, let me go find it.
It should be coming up. Right.
This is Web.
Why don't you take a second again to look at it, watch it, 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds, and then when you come back, give us a green check when you come back so that we know you're back. If the video does not show up on CCSD TV, give us a red X so that we know it's not coming up yet. Okay, it looks like Carla is the only one who didn't have it show up. At the very end, there'll be a page that has these links that you'll be able to take the links to later on. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring you back. Looks like a couple of you weren't able to view it. Again, at the very end, there's a page, a symbol loop page with all these links on it, so you can go back and look at those. Let's get back.
Okay. Mark?
Where we're supposed to be. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I have a few things to say. Mrs. Webb, about the what we just saw, what's neat and what you didn't see her do with her, she has a black Samsung, but she has a tendency, like, she can zoom in. And so sometimes she does zoom in so that the kids can see that clearer. In her class, the kids are watching these on iPads. You can watch them on your cell phone, the Android and the iPhone, and on any computer. That's because it's an MP4. So the kids, her class, the data that we saw at school with compared to all the other Algebra 1 kids, her kids are scoring about 30% higher than all the other classes since they've been doing these screencasts, where she just does little chunks of how to do something. So most of her stuff is around 8 minutes long, 5 to 8 minutes long. They're not very long.
Yes, the screencasts, keep them short. If it goes more than 7 or 8 minutes, people have lost attention. It's easier to keep students' attention when you're doing it live. On video, it's really hard to keep their attention more than about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay, I'm good. I think I'm going to pass this on over to Heather.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Gonzalez, and I am a digital learning coach. I'm going to talk today about screencasting with iPads or with tablets. And the first one I'm going to talk about is called Doceri. And Doceri is a free app that you can find on your iPad or tablet device. It is a free app, and there are a lot of different functions that apply to this app, and I'm going to give you a demo in a little while to show you exactly how to create a screencast with the Doceri app. The second app that I want to talk about is called Explain Everything. Explain Everything serves as kind of a PowerPoint almost, where you can do voiceovers and add audio and video to your slides and create a video presentation from the program. So I'm going to show you just oh, no, we went backwards. Okay, I'm going to show the demo for the Explain Everything. I believe there's a link that needs to be.
Welcome to Doceri, your new.
Okay, so as you saw in the little video, Explain Everything, it is a great tool. It is a whiteboard that you can import documents, you can import PowerPoint slides, and any information that you're teaching, and do video or audio voiceovers, including handwritten notes onto documents to show students exactly what it is that you are trying to teach and have them master. With Doceri, it has a lot of the same functionalities except for the importing of PowerPoints or other documents. It is a more simplistic version of Explain Everything, and it is also free as a comparison to Explain Everything, which is $2.99. But I'm going to show you a brief video on Doceri before we get into that. Is a great tool for teachers, but I've seen it be an extraordinary tool for, sorry for this, let me go. It's an extraordinary tool, I'm sorry, for students to use, for students to record screencasts and using Doceri to show what they've learned, and you as a teacher could pinpoint the exact moment in where students are maybe having some difficulty or where they're struggling in certain topics. The next two iPad apps I'm going to talk about are Educreations and Show Me. They are more simplistic versions of Doceri and Explain Everything. It has very few functionality tools. They have the basic color palette. You have a marker and a pencil, and you can import photos into it. And there's not a lot of extras that you do with it. It keeps it simple. So for those who are maybe beginning and don't want all the bells and whistles, Educreations or Show Me might be a great tool. Also, Educreations and Show Me both are linked to a website where you can download already created lessons by other teachers that have used these apps and uploaded their lessons for the public to view and use. So since today I'm going to be demoing Doceri, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about what Doceri does. You can easily create a new project on the fly. It doesn't have to be, well thought out or well planned out. You can just do it right then and there, and to explain a concept if maybe you're tight for time, or you can sit down and plan out a nicely made screencast. You can upload images into Doceri. You can hand draw and write on the slides. What's really nice about Doceri is you can insert stop points for the visuals and record your voice over so that the visuals and the graphics aren't moving ahead of how fast you're talking. You can save the video to your camera roll. You can upload it to YouTube, or you can open them in another app. It's from an iPad. You can open it into Edmodo. You can open it up into Google Drive. You can, I believe there's a couple of others. You can do Dropbox. If you save your videos to Dropbox, you can download them. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to what Doceri looks like. So on Doceri, you'll see that this is the home screen that will pop up from your iPad, and you can create a project from your iPad alone, or when you select through a computer, what it does is it links to your computer and projects what you're writing on your iPad to your computer. So if your computer was hooked up to a screen, it would be a good way to present maybe from the back of the class. You could use it as a whiteboard from, while you're teaching class. That would be a great way to use it through the computer. For today's purposes, we're going to use it through the iPad alone. And here is your project screen. On the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a plus sign. This plus sign is to add a new project, or you can simply click on the question mark for an untitled blank document. The options up on the top right-hand corner to edit and delete any of your presentations that you've already created, or to exit the project screen. Today we're going to go ahead and create a project. You can select the resolution for your project. I usually go with the default. And your screen will look essentially like a blank whiteboard. Some of the functions at the top I'm going to explain. The top left-hand corner, you will see a folder, and that folder will bring up all of your projects that you've used before. You have your record feature. Your record feature has two options, your start recording and your my recordings. Anytime you've done a project or have done a recording, it will be stored into your recording. And that is where you can go and export any recording that you've created to YouTube or to Google Drive or to Edmodo or wherever it is that you would like to save it. You can also save these recordings to your camera roll, which is nice when transferring your videos from your camera roll to the computer. The next feature are your backgrounds, and that is the button next to the record button. You can select any shade of color. You can use the palette. At the bottom, you have options to select your background patterns. For math teachers, grid paper is a popular one. For our history teachers, we have your maps where you can go ahead and give a lesson on, the different countries. You can also customize your own background. If you had a drawing or a picture that you would like to use and have that be the background for all of your slides, you could create a custom background and use that background. You can also import pictures, any photo that you would like to choose the button. You can import it from your photo library, or you can take a picture right then and there and import it. I'm going to use the photo library. You can adjust the size, move the picture anywhere onto the page that you would like. You can crop it. Once you're done, all you have to do is click on where it says done, and it will set your thing in place. The next one are your writing tools. When you double click on the writing tools, you see that you can change your toolbar to any writing tool that you would like to use. The only tool that is not available in Doceri is the text tool. There is no text tool in Doceri. There are markers, there's pen, spray paint, markers, highlighters, and different sorts of figures and shapes that you can import. You can adjust the size of thickness. You can change the spacing to where it could be a dotted line, or how clear, how dark you want that to be. The next tool, I'm skipping over the shapes and markers, is your erase tool. You can change the size of your erase tool if you are making some small minor changes, or if you are making very big changes, you can adjust that. The next two tools look like little squiggly tornadoes. The first one is your redo button, and the second one is your undo button. So you can undo the last change that you made or redo the last change that you made. The one that looks like a windshield wiper is your erase all strokes. If I wanted to erase any stroke that I have or made on my whiteboard, you just click that button and all of it would be erased to save time. The next option is your settings option, and you can change your settings to fit your needs. Now, here's where I want to talk about the spacing and adding points into your into your presentation. So if I were to pull down this little slider, this is where your timeline for your project is. Your little white box at the top here is what you've done on the page. So if I were to slide that over, you would see my picture appear when I added it. And I can move backwards. I can also start writing. How to use Doceri. Now if I wanted to play this whole slide, all I would have to do is drag my white box all the way back to the beginning and press the play button. Now all it is showing is your handwritten or photos that you've added. We have not recorded any voiceover yet. But if I wanted it to stop at a certain point, if I wanted it to stop after the picture was added, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the picture before the writing appears, I could add a red pin. Your red pins stop the presentation until you are ready to move on by pressing the play button. So now if I pull this all the way back one more time and press play, it stops right after I've added the picture. It will not play again until I hit the play button. Once I hit the play button, then it'll continue to add what I've written. You can change how fast or how slow the writing appears on your screen by using the little stopwatch tool at the bottom. If I want it to show up really slow, I could change that. Now, after I've done the first slide, I want to add a new slide. That is what the white pen will do. So by clicking on the white pen, it will give me a new slide. Now remember, I put in a background that I wanted to appear on all of my slides, so it is going to appear on every one of my new slides. I can import another photo. When you add photos, you can take screenshots of maybe PowerPoints that you've created. You can take screenshots of documents that you are working on or worksheets that you're working on, and you can insert those into your presentations and write on top of those for the purpose of your students seeing the work being done or the instruction being given. Okay. So now to go ahead and record, if I were to select the record button and I were to start recording, it's going to record wherever I left off. So I'm going to go ahead and take my presentation all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to select the record button and start recording. Once I start recording, it is recording all of what you are saying. It is recording your voice. And then as soon as I hit the play button, it will continue. Now, it's going to keep going until I press play, and now the writings appear. I can change how fast I want it to work, and then I can continue on to my next slide by pressing the play button. If I wanted to pause, I can do that. You can pause and then pick up where you left off. If maybe you wanted to switch a slide or add a new slide, you can do that. Once you are finished and you click stop recording, it brings up your recording. From there, you will tap and hold, and then you can export it. You can either send it as a message, save your video, make a copy of it, email it, upload it to Facebook, etc. You can also open it in any one of these apps. You can open it into iMovie, Edmodo, Explain Everything, Evernote, all of these different apps that you have installed on your iPad or tablet device, it can be opened in. So that is a brief demonstration, I would hope, of what Doceri does. So when you use this in the classroom, you can use it with maybe if you're flipping the classroom or blending a classroom. Maybe it is a homework option where you want students to be prepared before they come to your class. Maybe it will be building prior knowledge, or that accessing that background knowledge that they need to understand the content during your class. It can be used for projects, for students to demonstrate to you their understanding and their mastery of the content. And now I will turn it over to I believe Mark.
I think because of time, we're going to kind of skip the interactive whiteboards, and let's talk about how we can upload and use these videos really quickly.
All right. So when you're done recording your video, you're going to want to listen to it yourself. You noticed on mine when I was done with it.
Nicole? Nicole?
Yes.
Can you check your settings? You're a little bit quiet there.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Is that better?
Much better. Much better.
Sorry. Thank you, Mark. When you're done recording your video, you're going to need to test the quality of video and sound and make sure that the quality is good and that the sound can be heard. And if you're using Screencast-O-Matic, it will automatically export as an MP4 format, so you don't need to worry about that. However, if you're using a different one, then you will need to convert the file. And Handbrake is free, and it also converts video files fairly easily. When you're done, you're going to say, well, where am I going to put this? I recommend putting it up on tv.ccsd.net, since we know that makes it through our filters. You can also put links to it on your Edmodo page for your students to access. Again, youtube.edu, in case you didn't know, is making it through our filters now, so you could post it there as well. You'll need to, after posting the video, verify that the screencast can be played either on the computer, and you might want to check on your smartphone as well that it can still be viewed there. And some tips and tricks. Is that, yeah. I think I'm going to jump in here. This is Kathy. Just some quick tips about when you're creating a screencast. When I talk about white space, basically that's if you're going to be writing, if you're teaching math or science and you have to do a lot of writing, just be mindful of the amount of space that you have, that you want kids to be able to see, what you're writing. So you might find, like, if you're bringing in a PowerPoint and you're going to be writing on it, that you might want to add some extra blank slides or move your, text around or adjust those PowerPoints so that you have plenty of space to write if you need to write. On the example from Mrs. Matthews, she was just reading from her PowerPoint, so she was not writing. So she didn't really care about the white space or the amount of space. We always, again, practice, practice, practice. And I know I talk loud. I'm going to bring my mic away from my mouth here. But anyway, your voice, is it clear? Can you hear yourself? And your writing. Again, the placement of your text and your graphics. One thing I see a lot is when somebody uses a really busy background, and then they're trying to use, put text over it or even write over it, and you can't really see it. So it's really important to realize that we want our students, and even when you're teaching students, that you teach them these tips about how to make something look really good for other kids, and then always play back your audio and your video quality to make sure you can hear it and see it. Mark, you want me to keep going here?
No, these are just some resources that we have, and actually, when you log out, when you exit the presentation, it'll take you to a Symbaloo page. That's just a place where we can have a whole bunch of links. So all the links that we shared today are on that Symbaloo page for you to refer to. As well, all of these resources. Kathy Schrock is probably the best guide resource to anything in regards to digital learning. So she's got some information there on screencasting, as well as a few others that you can definitely access. Okay, so on the symbol when you exit, it'll automatically pop up in your browser. I would recommend that you bookmark that page, and that way you can refer back to it later. And of course, you can go back and rewatch this webinar using the same link you used to log in. And at that, if you want to look at something again or hear something again, you can fast forward it to that point of the presentation and view that information again. At this time, thank you, Heather, Kathy, and Nicole. We appreciate your knowledge and expertise in this area. If you have any questions, everybody, please type them into the text chat area now, and we will hang around for a few minutes to answer any questions that you have. If you have no questions, thank you for being here. Either way, when you exit, please click on the red X that says exit in the top right-hand corner. Don't close the browser window, just exit the program. That way it correctly logs your attendance, which I know is very, very important for that information to go into PathLore. The information will not go into PathLore until the end of the month. Looking at the 30th of the month or possibly the 1st of May is when we will send it over to PathLore. Again, if there's questions, please take the time right now to type them into the text chat box, and we will answer them for you. Thank you again for coming. I typed this into the text chat box, but I didn't mention it at the very beginning, and I should have. One thing that I really liked to use this for is when there was to use screencasting for is when there were absent students. They could simply go back and watch maybe the lecture that you presented in class and get that content without you having to repeat it, because we know that copying another student's notes simply isn't the same, or even copying your notes isn't the same as viewing it and interacting with it.